Leger, let's look at the AFC Divisional. That is the game that we played Saturday afternoon. Jags, and of course the Chiefs. Jags losing that first contest by 10 points there. We're down 20-0 heading into that second quarter there. How big of a game is this for Jacksonville, and how do you see this thing shaking out here in the AFC Divisional Round with the Jags back in the playoffs for the first time in 5 years?
Yeah, it's a big game for Jacksonville. And you heard Trevor Lawrence in the intro. He felt like they left some things out there. And they did. Honestly, I went back and watched that film yesterday. And if you look at it, right, the thing about when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, if you're Jacksonville, you can't leave points out there on the field, right? Riley Patterson missed 2 field goals. And then you also are not going to beat them with field goals and field goal attempts. Larry, they had a chance to cut the lead to 20-14, but they had a penalty on a illegal man downfield. Evan Ingram scored a touchdown, got wiped off. Kansas City held them to 3 points right there. So instead of it being 20-14 and you only being down by 7, you're down by 10. So that is the thing if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think another thing is Travis Etienne has to be a major part of this game plan. He averaged over 4 yards a carry, but I believe only had 11 attempts because you talked about it later. They were down 20-0, so that kind of takes the run game away and makes the run game null and void. But I did like how they got him involved in the screen game. I think they need to do more of that. If you look at Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, one thing he likes to do is bring pressure and play man coverage. What beats that? Screens. They screen them to death with Evan Ingram. They screen them with Travis Etienne. So I think that's something that Doug Peterson will look at and continue to do. And if you're Jacksonville, the one thing you have to do when it comes to the Kansas City defense is hold on to Chris Jones. Know where he's at every time. They move him up and down the line. They had him against the right tackle, Taylor, and he had a field day with him. You can't allow him, wherever he's at, to go one-on-one with your offensive line. Slide the protection to him, get a chip on him, whatever you have to do. If you block Chris Jones, you have a chance to really make plays. Christian Kirk had a big day against them when they were in man coverage. If they're able to block Chris Jones, he could have another big one.
Chiefs seeking a 5th straight trip to the AFC Championship game. Meantime, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags coming off the 3rd largest comeback in NFL playoff history. Lawrence is super on Saturdays, Leger. I reminded you about that all day last Saturday. A perfect 37-0 going back to high school. However, he lost on a Sunday to the Chiefs in Week 10. Leger, Trevor Lawrence can't throw 4 picks against the Chiefs like he did against the Chargers last week. So what has to happen for Jacksonville to pull off a massive upset?
Yeah, it's what I just talked about. I think they have to really lean on Travis Etienne in the run game and try to get him involved also in the passing game somehow because he's an explosive athlete. And then also, I talked about it, you're not going to beat Kansas City with 3, right? You have to finish drives and score touchdowns. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars were able to move the ball up and down the field on the Chiefs. They just missed 2 field goals, and then they add a penalty, wipe off a touchdown in the red zone. That's some things you cannot do when you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. You almost have to play a perfect game because if you look at it, Hakeem and Larry, they won the turnover margin that game, 3-0, and they still lost that game by 10 points. So if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, right, finish drives at the end with touchdowns. Do not turn the ball over, which Trevor Lawrence did a really good job earlier in the season playing against them, and then get that run game. This Kansas City Chiefs defense has been susceptible to the run, but you have to keep it close to be able to run the football. So if you're looking at it that way, and then also on the defensive side, Patrick Mahomes, you have to figure out a way to keep him in the pocket. Too many times in that game, he scampered on 3rd and shorts and 3rd and 7s to pick up first downs with his legs, then also use his mobility to move up in the pocket to throw a touchdown to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So if you're that defensive line, you got to have pass rush lane responsibility. You almost have to have that blueprint the Cincinnati Bengals did where they rushed 3 and used Sam Hubbard almost like a spy, middle of the field dropper. That way you can get after Patrick Mahomes when he starts running around in the backfield with the ball. But if you do not keep contained on this guy and you go man coverage, he will kill you with his legs. And more importantly, with his arm strength, he'll kill you throwing the ball down the field.
All right, Leger, you can smell the barbecue out there in Arrowhead Saturday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, the kick out there in Kansas City. Chiefs favored by 9. The total, 52.5. The Jags, well, they're the comeback cats, Leger. They've trailed in 9 of their last 10 games. What's the play here? Who are you rolling with?
It's tough, right? Because, Hakeem, like you said, Trevor Lawrence has never lost on a Saturday. Doug Peterson is 6-0 against the spread as an underdog. I think I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover the +9. They've just been playing really good football, and there's no quit in this team. I mean, you talked about it last week, down 27-0, being able to come back and win that game. Also, when they played the Chiefs earlier this year, they were down 20-0 with the opportunity to get that within 7, so they would have covered their spread that game. The only thing is the Chiefs are just so multiple in what they do. Like, who would have thought with Tyreek Hill leaving this offseason that this team would still be the #1 offense in football? They can line up in 13 personnel, one back, 3 tight ends, and you think they're going to run the ball where they're taking a shot with Travis Kelce down the field. Kadarius Toney getting there mid-season, he's Weapon X for them. They get him on speed sweeps, they get him on screens, they get him on trick plays. He had a big game versus Jacksonville earlier this season. And then a little caveat that they've done that they've switched up. They play bully ball. They can run the ball downhill with Isaiah Pacheco. So they're just too much on offense and too multiple on offense that I think Jacksonville will struggle to keep up. But I do think they will cover. Again, Trevor Lawrence has never lost a game on Saturday. Doug Peterson is 6-0 against the spread as a underdog. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars to cover, but ultimately I think the Chiefs win this game.
Trevor Lawrence, 37-0 on Saturdays. Georgia High School, also at Clemson, and now in the NFL. I want to add this little nugget. Doug Peterson, also undefeated on Saturdays. He's 3-0, of course, with the Eagles, and of course, last week with the Jags. Douzable, appreciate you, bro. You can see we'll take a recap here and look at the Saturday NFL picks. Divisional round here, Giants at Eagles. He is rolling with the Giants there. And of course, we just talked about it. Jacksonville at Kansas City. Another rematch here from in the regular season. Chiefs favored by 9. He thinks the Jags will cover. Will not win, but will at least cover here in KC.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.